I'll be in favor of that. No, Tom, you're not. That's not your jam. No. Oh yeah, country? Are you kidding me? Absolutely. As we get started here, I just want to, first of all, what an atmosphere having the draft here, and there's so many cool things that happen that quite frankly I didn't expect. I thought it might be just a nuisance, but it was such a cool environment, such a cool thing, and just a lot of thanks and gratitude for Mark having the vision to bring that here. I think that was something that we'll never forget. I also want to thank Mark for all the support and leadership that he's provided us for so many years. Hopefully this is not his last time in the draft room. Hopefully he'll come back, but he's been really instrumental in all the things we've been able to accomplish here, and we just really can't thank him enough. As well as kind of frankly, our entire scouting staff, the coaches, all our support staff. There's so many people that are involved in this. It's such a long process, so really feel good about what we were able to do over the 3 days. They're still grinding out some UDFA stuff up there, but again, I think we helped our football team. We're excited about the guys we brought in, but just a lot of gratitude and thanks, not only for myself, but I think everybody that was involved. So with that, I'll take your questions. Had a pretty good day today and excited about these guys.
Ryan, is Brinson better at like gobbling up blocks like TJ did, or is he more of an attacker from inside?
He's a little bit of both. You know, I was proud of TJ with how he progressed, and you know, when he first got here, he was kind of just, you know, he was one of those guys that held the point really well, could eat up double teams, but he progressed as a pass rusher as well. I think Brinson coming out, it probably has a little bit more, you know, pass rush naturally. But again, a really big man that can do a lot of things. You know, I think the coaching staff, and I believe he can play up and down the line. He's not just a one position player on the defensive line. So that was one of the things that attracted us to him.
Brian, obviously teams change every year, but when you sat down after the season and you looked at where you wanted to get to, you know, through all the free agency and the draft, what do you think you did for your football team, and where do you think you are?
Yeah, that's a great question, Rob. I think, you know, I really increased the competition across the board. You know, I think I spoke before. I felt really good about our football team coming into this draft. We did some things in free agency and just where our team was in general that I felt really, really good about it. Certainly we increased the competition in a lot of spots. Draft never always falls exactly how you think it's going to fall. It's always interesting, but you know, I like that part of it. And I think we were able to add, particularly these 3 days, and even in free agency, really good culture fits, you know, guys that are really fit into our locker room and be assets to us that way.
I know you wanted to add more picks, and it didn't obviously happen. But given where your team is at and the number of guys on your team that you already really like, is that okay, especially given that what you're saying about the competition?
Yeah, I feel good about it. I would have loved to acquire more picks, whether that was this year or next year, and we really didn't accomplish that. But it was really pretty quiet today as far as that went. But at the same time, you know, even though I feel really good right now, things can change fast. So the more, the better. But I will say I'm pretty excited. I just left the draft room, and some of the UDFAs that we were able to sign were guys we had pretty high on the board. So, you know, hopefully that can, you know, make up for some of that. But I mean, we had 8 picks. Feel really good about those guys, and then some of the guys that we're signing right now, I feel pretty good about too. So.
The two rushers you picked there later in the draft. Is there any reason to think that they can help you right off the bat, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a transition there, but they're two different guys. One guy wins with a lot of power and length and hands, and the other guy's got some athleticism and speed, who's played on his feet a little bit as well. So I think there's some versatility there. So yeah, I think both those guys can contribute. But again, we'll see. I mean, you know, it's those guys coming into the National Football League. It's a whole different ballgame. But I think both those guys can compete.
Ryan, when you create these competitive situations like you have, do you worry, do you monitor the way guys handle it in terms of like ruffling any feathers or anything like that? Do you watch how they react to that?
Yeah, we certainly watch how they react. That's a good thing, right? You know, I mean, the competition brings out the best in all players, and if it doesn't, then it's probably going to be a rough go anyway. We want to constantly have that internal pressure, so to speak, on our guys, because I think that's important. I mean, if you're going to compete in the National Football League, you got to be able to handle that and you know, be at your best. So yeah, I mean, you watch how all our guys handle the competition and the new challenges that they may face from year to year. But it's an important thing that we have that.
Right, you get to make. I think the quote was, "We'll reevaluate or look at the Jair situation after we see how the draft goes." Now that it's your quick, I know I'm sure you guys haven't sat down and done a full debrief, but your quick reaction, you waited until the 7th round. I'm sure it's kind of how the downs go. Perfect world, you would have rather gone earlier, but what is your quick reaction on where that situation stands?
Yeah, no real updates on that. Again, we'll work through that as we go, but no updates there. And you know, he's on our roster right now, and that's how we'll proceed. But we'll figure that as we go along.
Right. You would like to have done cornerback earlier if you could, like with that kind of. LaFleur did say it was a priority at the start, but you know, obviously things we have.
Yeah, as you guys know, I don't really go in there with like those kind of priorities. We build our board, and we try to stay true to our evaluations of it, and then we let the board come to us. Every draft class is a little bit different, so it wasn't something we were going to chase. It's important to us, you know, and I think certainly adding Micah there at the end was really, really good because he's a player we brought in here and we're pretty excited about. But it was kind of one of those things with the board is what it is, and it fell the way it fell. So we feel pretty good about our group right now. I feel the guys that we have in that room, you know, they got some pelts on the wall, so to speak, as far as what they've been able to do in the National Football League. So we'll kind of see how that goes.
You said that you expect internal improvement with the pass rush. With the things that Jeff was able to unlock with that, with the blitz scheme last year, did that take pressure off you this offseason maybe to not feel the need that you absolutely had to go out there and target it first thing, put it at the top of your priority list?
Yeah, I mean, again, it wasn't something we were avoiding. It was certainly something that, again, if the right opportunity was there, we were going to strike. And we really were excited about the guys we got today. I do think we have a number of players that are coming into their own. You know, there's a number of young players that are coming into their own and should play their best football in front of them. I also think the two inside linebackers we have a unique ability both to rush the passer very, very well. So, along with Isaiah, but both Quay, Isaiah, and Coop, I mean, those guys can do that, you know, very, very well. So, I'm excited to see what Hop can do when he gets his opportunity as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think that flexibility is great. I think the second year and half scheme too, and as he really understands what we have in our players and how he sees them, that'll help as well.
How important is it to have so many different kinds of options and not kind of be pigeonholed into having to rush with just 4 up front, having that flexibility?
I think it's important. Again, you know, I've stood up here at length for years talking about the versatility and how important that is, and you know, the challenges you're going to face every year with injuries and different things that come your way are very, very unpredictable. And to have enough well-rounded guys that can do a lot of different things really can put your mind at ease. You know, when you have guys like Quay and Coop and their versatility as linebackers and the ability for them to rush the passer, you know, that's a helpful thing. So, again, I like our versatility right now, and we'll kind of see how Half sees it this year and how he puts those guys in position. But I'm excited about it.
Along those lines, what made it worth making an exception and drafting a 240-pound pass rusher?
Yeah, we talked a lot about, you know, just having guys like that can chase the quarterback down, you know. And, again, you know, there's not a lot of guys in our league that win with pure speed, you know, on the edge. But there are some guys that have, you know, really good get-offs and quickness. And, you know, certainly I think as we kind of talked about it, one thing that I'm always concerned about with guys, if all they can do is rush the passer and they're that size, when you have injuries and they got to play more, they got to play more on first and second down, they can put you in a spot. You know, I think with Collins, with his situation, he can actually stand up and play some linebacker too. He can play some Sam linebacker. So I think that versatility made us comfortable with it.
Brian, just to clarify, you said that's how we'll proceed. Does that mean you're keeping Jair on the team for this season?
No, I'm just saying nothing's changed, no updates. So we'll proceed as we go right now, and we'll see how it goes.
Hey, Brian. Matt and Milt both talked about with Barron that it was kind of a surprise that he actually wasn't done. Just what was your reaction when you found out about that?
It was pretty funny. You know, we get him on the phone, obviously, right before we return the pick in, and there's a ton of noise going on. They were very excited. And I heard Matt Klein, who, when I handed the phone off, he's talking to him about, hey, you know, when you come up for camp, where are you coming from? He said, well, you know, he had to fly back to home, and no one thought to ask him, well, where are you flying from? You know, we just figured he was somewhere else, you know. And so to find out that he was here was a complete shock when we saw him on TV walking down the runway, and it shouldn't have been because he was on the list, right? But it was just one of those things we didn't really think about. But what a cool moment that was. I mean, just to watch that and you know, not such shocking at all, because for those of us that scouted him, I mean, he is as genuine and as good of a person. And one of the reasons that we drafted him was for a lot of the stuff you guys got to see today.
The job is about winning games, I get that, but for you to be part of something like that and to see a kid who, I know Jason showed you guys the video of him talking to us, like, what is that like for you to be part of that equation and guys having their dreams come true like that?
I mean, it's a really cool moment for them and their families. I think, you know, we bring a lot of guys through here. When we're at the combine, we talk to a lot of guys, and sometimes, you know, we ask them, you got any questions for us? And one of the things I try to tell all the guys is that, you know, this draft thing is a one-time thing. You're going to play a lot of games, hopefully in the National Football League, and you're going to have good ones and bad ones, but the draft is unique. You're never going to go through it again, and they should really try to enjoy it, because they put so much anxiety and stress on themselves, you know, where they're going to go, how high they're going to go. So when you see that kind of pure emotion, joy, all that kind of stuff, you know, it's really cool. You don't have a lot of time to enjoy it because you're in the middle of what you're doing. But at the same time, we've scouted these guys, so there's some of those things, you know, I don't want to say it verifies because it's a moment, but it's not shocking because you kind of know who the person is and how hard they've worked to get there. And when you put the time in, like he has, particularly, and overcome some of the things he's overcome, you understand why that emotion's coming out, which was cool to see.
What did you like about his skill sets that made you have him higher
Yeah.
on your board?
Well, first of all, he's exceptionally durable. You know, we'll knock on wood of that, but like he's exceptionally durable. He's been productive, you know, for multiple years at Texas. He's strong. He's wired exactly the way, very, very smart, very, very technique sound. He's got really strong hands to knock blockers off balance, and then his ability, I thought, to finish really this year. I mean, he improved every year, but this year I thought he really showed an ability to finish you know, he took his game to a different level, but he's been improving the entire time. And when you talk to the people at Texas who do such a good job down there developing players, he was first class. I mean, they couldn't say enough good things about him. So yeah, we were pretty excited to turn that one in.
Brian, back in the day when you would draft left tackles and move them to guard, the T.J. Langs, Josh Sittons, those guys, they weren't behemoths like the guys you've drafted here, like Melton, like Williams. What tells you that those guys could play guard? And are you counting on at least one of them to give you something at guard?
Yeah, I think for me, you know, as an area scout, I would get teased. I'm with that. If you had size like that, I was gonna, you know, probably overgrade you. No, I think for me, there's a skill set that they have to be able to play both tackle and guard. And that's been a big emphasis for us that, you know, we'd like to have guys that can play both. You're either going to be kind of a tackle guard swing guy, a guard center swing guy, or a tackle center swing guy. You got to be able to play multiple spots, you know. And we've had a ton of luck, you know, throughout my years here of taking guys who played left tackle and moving them inside. You know, I remember when we took Josh Sitton had played mostly tackle until the last couple of games of his final year in school and stuff. So, and he was a behemoth, whether you like him. He was a pretty big guy too. So, so we've had a lot of luck doing that. It's certainly something when you know you're only going to carry 8 on game day, maybe 9 on your active roster, and you know 10, 11 with the practice squad. Like those guys with injuries are going to have to play multiple spots. So. You know, the big thing for me with the big guys, with what Matt likes to do on offense, is whether they're inside or they're out, do they have enough quickness to get their head across the shade, you know? And, you know, all these guys that we've taken, we feel pretty good about that.
Was there something that happened last season that made you start to think, we may have to move Elton to center, we have to do more coming up in this offensive line? And
Yeah.
you've done that with the free agency, with the second-round pick.
Yeah, good question. I think, you know, certainly in the middle of last year, you know, Josh was going to be an unrestricted free agent. We didn't know how that was going to go, so certainly we had thought about how are we going to do that. We had a number of options. Obviously, Elton was a center in college, and he was a pretty elite center in college. And every time we've had to play him there, he's played at a very, very high level. We also really like Jacob Monk, you know, what he could do. So we wanted to make sure we were going to be covered there. The opportunity to get Aaron Banks, you know, obviously you never know how that's going to go. When that thing came across, that's when all that stuff started to make sense a little bit. So, you know, one of the things you always got to be prepared for is having enough centers, not only to play games, but to practice and get through a practice. And I feel really good about that right now.
You talked about the experience of having the draft too. You've had a pretty big job to do this week too. Has there been any moments when you have been able to kind of get a glimpse of what's going on outside the room you're in?
Yeah, it's really up from the TV. You know, when they pan and they're showing everything, you know, as we're sitting in there going through it. Every once in a while, earlier in the day, before things would get started, I'd peek outside the window and see. I know a lot of our guys, maybe before the gates open, you know, kind of took a tour around the stadium, looking at a bunch of stuff. I never got the opportunity to do that, but everybody's been really, really impressed. And I think you guys might have a better sense of it than me, but it certainly seems like, you know, this whole thing with Green, you know, with our town and the Packers really, I mean, it couldn't have gone any better, you know, even with some of the rain this morning, or yesterday. It exceeded all my expectations. Again, I was sitting in a room watching it on TV, but we really look really cool.
You've done a lot of drafts. Was there anything about having it here that made this week different in terms of just the process, or once the draft starts, is it like every other one?
Yeah, for us, it was pretty the same. I think the one thing was that, with Matthew Golden being here, and being able to, see him right away like that was pretty cool. And then certainly Barron today was very, very, very unique. I didn't get to see him. A lot of our guys did. I didn't, but that was really, really unique. And I just think I did make it home at decent times. Like the traffic wasn't quite as bad as I expected it to be. But yeah, it was different. But I will say this: there was no distractions or interruptions or things that I might have been concerned with. Yeah, it went really, really smooth.
But you and Jen and the kids are going to the concert or not?
Volleyball tournaments take up her time right now, so there's like that. I think my son, if he's not already out there, he's probably out there somewhere. But no, this is we're still working through some UDFA stuff. But once we get done with this, we'll, as a staff, coaching staff and scouts, we'll all get together, and that's always with the amount of work we put into this, it's always a really good time to kind of sit around and talk about the draft, and a few weeks from now they'll start working on next year. Yeah, so.
What do you like about the corner that you took, Robinson?
Yeah. He's got great feet. He can play off man coverage, which is one of the harder things to do. He took up a step from Furman to Tulane and really played really, really well in his first season there. So I think as he gets more reps against really better competition, I think he's going to continue to improve. He doesn't have elite size, but I thought his speed and his ability as an athlete to stay with guys, particularly from playing off coverage, which is so hard. And he's got great ball skills. So we brought him in here, got to know him a little bit more, and really liked him, and so we're excited for him.
Any qualms there? 183 holding up, run tackling, and then ended up getting hurt.
Yeah, again, he's not the biggest guy in the world, but I think the foot quickness, the hips, and the speed kind of overrode that some a little bit. Made us want to take a shot on him.
Brian, you mentioned culture a bunch this weekend. So has Matt. Matt had a line earlier talking about how finding guys who not only love ball, but they need it. And there's a difference between those two things. Mm-hmm. Is that something you guys feel like you found this week with the guys you were able to bring in?
Yeah, I do. I think with a lot of our guys, pretty much all these guys love football. And I think one of the things Matt's talking about when we talk about need football, because we do talk a lot about it, in this day and age of NIL and the transfer portal and everything that's going on, there's just a lot of options, a lot of guys that are looking at the game differently, and the guys that just purely need football because it's part of who they are, I think is very important to us, And as we've gone through the last few drafts, that's something that we've talked a lot about, and I think that gives those guys that are that way a leg up when it comes to battling for spots and sticking around.
Along those lines, I'd asked you about the love of the game thing on Monday. I've heard you a couple different guys that you drafted, you said they've been through adversity and come out the other side. Mm-hmm. That's another non-measurable quantity. But is that another thing that you've really started to look more and more at, and if so, why?
I wouldn't say more. I would say we've always have. I think there's times where you run into some guys that maybe haven't, and when you don't know how they're going to react to adversity, that can be tough, especially in the National Football League. The first time they're facing adversity is here. That can be difficult. So knowing that they've already been through something and learned how to get to the other side of it and persevere, because they're going to go through adversity. There's no doubt about it, and it's going to be hard. And they're going to question themselves, and their confidence is going to get shaken at times. And they need to be able to get through that and to perform at this level. And so it is important to us. It always has been.
What traits did you like about Williams?
I'm sorry, say that again.
What traits did you like about Williams?
You're talking about Savion?
No, your tackle.
Oh, John, the last one, yeah. So John got great length, exceptionally bright, right? Really, really, really smart. He's got the versatility to play left tackle and guard. He probably could play center because he's smart enough to. He's one of the few guys that can really play with full extension with his hands and is moving his feet at the same time. And again, we were down there in the 7th round, and it was like we were just really, really. It's unusual for a guy that can play tackle and guard, play 4 spots for you, to be down there at that spot. So that's kind of what we liked in him. Yeah.
Was this draft had fewer trades? after, some of the big moves on Thursday night. Did you feel that, or was there fewer calls?
I haven't looked at the numbers to see comparative to the other drafts. I haven't looked at that yet. I did feel that way. I know in the first couple of days, just that, nobody wanted, everybody wanted a deal. And so, and then we just had good players to pick when it was time for us to pick. I thought today there felt like a lot less opportunities. One of the things we were kind of, I think, focused on was if we possibly could pick up some picks for next year. We were certainly open to that. And then nobody that we talked to really seemed all interested in doing that. So at the same time, all through today, we had multiple options with players that we liked. So I think if the right option would have been there, we would have certainly done it, but it just never materialized.
Thank you, guys.
All good? Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
right.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm gonna open it up for questions with some of our media that are here, so I'll just call on them and we'll go from there. And
Okay, sounds good.
we'll go ahead and get started with Wes Hodquitz.
Micah, congratulations. Can you just bring me through what this day was like for you and just the excitement when the Packers called?
Say that again.
Can you just bring me through
Say
what
that
this
again.
day? Yeah. Can you just bring me through what this day was like for you and just the excitement when Green Bay called?
Yeah, so I mean, it was a long day. Got calls from a lot of teams, but honestly, the whole day I just put my faith in God. You know, I already knew I had to do what I had to do on the field this past year. I had to do what I had to do during pro day, and honestly, just my faith in God just brought that call to me, and now I'm here.
Wes, go ahead.
Yeah, and Micah, I think you took a free agent or a priority visit up here, I think. Just what did you take away from that? What did you learn as far as spending that time in Green Bay?
Oh my goodness. Honestly, my time in Green Bay was awesome. I actually, I knew a couple of coach. Well, I knew a coach up there. And I also got along with Coach Da very well, one of the defensive back coaches. But I just went up there and honestly fell in love. Great facilities. I saw they had a great coaching staff. Chopped it up with the GM, defense coordinator, everybody on the staff. I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you gotta love who loves you. So I love Green Bay.
Michael, which coach did you know that you had a relationship with beforehand?
Yeah, so Coach Lett, he used to coach at Stanford. But I talked to him for a few minutes. Well, I talked to him for a good little minute when I came on my visit, and we were just talking about the process I've been through, and everything I've been through during this college period. You know, with me transferring, coming from an FCS program, transferring up to an FBS program, making plays, etc.
And for you, Micah, what was sort of the reason? What did you want to make that switch for with going from Furman to Tulane? And what did you think you proved, with that season that you were able to put together there?
Yeah, so I transferred out of Furman after I graduated. So I wanted to get my degree from Furman, stay loyal to that program for 4 years, like I committed to. And after those 4 years, I had another year. So I just talked to my coaches, told them I wanted to make that move. Told them just wanted to play at a high level of football so that I could play with those per se better guys, and after that, the rest was history. Just went on the Tulane's team, Tulane's program. Got along with the players well, got along with the coaches, and just had to make plays.
Paul Brettel.
Hey, Micah, congratulations. How would you describe your game as far as what the strengths of it are?
Honestly, I could play any position, I could play nickel, I could play corner, I could play safety, as well as special teams, I'm physical at the line of scrimmage, fit good playing off-man coverage, and I also come up and I'll tackle, I'll hit. So, yeah.
Jacob Westendorf.
Hey, Micah, congratulations. You talked about connecting with the defensive backs coach here, and Jeff Hafley has a background of coaching DBs and such as well. Is that something you feel like will help you as you transition to the NFL?
Oh, yeah. I feel like him and the rest of the coaching staff will help me. I'm just looking forward to going up there, just learning the game, being a student of the game even more. And whatever I have to do to help this organization win, to help this franchise win, that's what I'm gonna do.
Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, we had talked to Brian Gutekunst, the GM here, right before we chatted with you, and he mentioned your ball skills. Just how do you think that is sort of a strength of your game, and obviously having the interceptions you had both at Furman and Tulane?
Yeah, so my college career, I had about 7 or 8 interceptions. I always say when I have a good eye on the quarterback, good eye on the receiver, and I see the ball in the air, usually respectfully that ball is mine. I'm a ball hawk, and I like to go up and get it whenever I see it.
You did mention being able to play inside, outside. Where did you mostly play at Tulane? Were you pretty much on the perimeter, or did they move you around quite a bit?
Yeah, so at Tulane, we had some pretty specified positions. I played outside corner. Another kid that came in transferred played the other corner. My guy Caleb Ransaw played nickel, and during the season, that was just something I had to get used to. We kind of solidified those positions, and we so we could all be on the field together. So yeah, so at Tulane, I mostly play outside, but the type of player I am, I could honestly play anything on the field.
Micah, with your pro day, was it a 4.38? Is that what you ran in the 40? I'd seen a couple different numbers out there. I was wondering what you thought it was.
Oh yes, sir. The time I heard it was a 4.38. Yes, sir.
And that kind of speed, was that what you were expecting out of that? And how do you incorporate that into your play style?
I mean, honestly, I prepared during after the season. I went to Texas to train, and I went to Dallas, Texas to train, and I just that whole time, those whole 3 months, I was preparing for the 40, because I knew as a cornerback in the NFL, you got to run fast. So just working on certain techniques and stuff like that. I knew I could run, I knew I could roll, but I would say the training helped me out a lot.
And did you end up taking any other 30 visits anywhere else besides Green Bay?
No, I didn't have any other 30 visits. I had other local pro day invites and Zoom calls and such, but no other.
So when Green Bay, the 920 came up on your phone, did you have a pretty good inkling that this might be where you end up going?
Oh yeah. Honestly, like I said, I saw Green Bay had a lot of interest in me. Love who loves me, but at the end of the day, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ decides on my fate and where I'm going. But I'm also grateful to be in this position with the Packers, because that's the team that invited me. That's the team that loved me on film and whatnot. So just excited to get this thing rolling.
Paul Brettel.
Hey, Micah, I know it's not apples to apples, but the transition you made last year from Furman to Tulane, do you think that experience and that move can be something that you lean on moving forward as you now make the jump to the NFL?
Honestly, I lean more on the coaching and what I learned while being at Tulane, because at the end of the day, football is football, formations are formations. Offense is an offense at the end of the day. So, I'm just looking to become a better player and a better person.
Any other questions for Micah? All right, Micah, we appreciate your time. Congratulations again, and we'll see you in Green Bay soon.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. And welcome to the Packers. I am
Thank you.
here. You're welcome. I'm here with our media, and I will just call on them to ask questions, and we'll go from there. So we'll start with Wes Hodkiewicz. Go ahead, Wes.
John, congratulations. Can you just bring me through what this day was like for you, and just what the reaction was when the Packers came calling?
Definitely a long day. Honestly, just super ecstatic and just relieved, kind of just a weight off my shoulders once the Packers called. I mean, I couldn't be more grateful, truly.
I saw that right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope. Go ahead, Wes. Go ahead,
Just,
Wes.
John, did you took a visit up here, a 30 visit? Did I see that correctly?
Yes, you did.
What was that experience like for you, and just what did you learn? Just getting a chance to be around, the Packers, coaches, scouts a little bit.
I mean, when I went, I love the facilities. The facilities are amazing, and I really got to know the coaching staff, loved the coaching staff, learned a lot about the culture, and I just felt like it was a great fit. Obviously, at the time, I didn't know if I was going to get picked by them, but I just thought no matter what happened that I would love the Packers.
Bill Huber.
Hey, John, congratulations. So when your NFL career ends in 12 years, what are you going to do with your major?
Well, hopefully I make enough money to where I don't have to use my major.
Okay, fine. What did you go to school for? Like what was the end goal of that?
So with aerospace engineering, the hope was to work somewhere like SpaceX, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, somewhere like that. I would want to work in like a research division, something like that, on the cutting edge of technology.
Okay. You probably know the stereotypical jock thing, right? So what do people, you get some like odd looks when you go into class and it's like, wait a minute, what's this big dude coming in here for?
Yeah, I was definitely the odd man out in those classes, but I mean, the aerospace community here is great. So I mean, it was honestly a great experience for me.
Paul Brettel.
Hey, John, congratulations. Typically speaking, versatility along the offensive line is important with the Green Bay Packers. If you have to move to left side, right side, play guard, I guess what's your comfort level with having to move around potentially?
I'm really good with anything. I mean, obviously there's nothing's nailed down. I mean, I'm really ready to play whatever they need me to play.
Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, John, if I could just ask you one more thing about the major, was that something that was always an interest for you, or where did that sort of come from, the aerospace engineering?
Yeah, I've always been into math and science ever since I was a little kid, and then as it went on, kind of just narrowed it down to aerospace engineering, and I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Any other questions for Ron? Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, and John, just kind of looking at your career, I know you talked at the combine, you've kind of been sort of underrated, sort of under the radar for a lot of your career. Just do you carry that as sort of a badge of honor, a chip on the shoulder a little bit? And if so, was this still an achievement today to be able to get drafted in the NFL?
I mean, obviously it's always an achievement to get drafted into the NFL. I mean, not many people get to say that they were able to do that. But I mean, like I said at the combine, I mean, the chip on the shoulder is kind of automatic for me. Not something I really think about. It's kind of just who I am. I'm under the radar. I go out there, I work, and I do my job no matter what.
Bill Huber.
Yeah, what was today like, John, as far as like who'd you spend the day with, and what was the reaction between yourself and everybody else when you got the phone call?
Honestly, it was definitely a long day. I mean, I spent the time with my family, just a couple aunts and uncles, my parents, my girlfriend, just kind of chilling, watching the draft. And it was definitely a long day going through rounds 4 to 7. And I kind of swallowed my pride. I was ready to be a UDFA, and then got the call, and I was honestly dumbfounded. I was just ready to go.
Go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, and John, I'm just curious if you're familiar with Rasheed Walker at all, or if the scouts had mentioned anything to you about him. He was a 7th rounder for Green Bay a couple years ago, and now has been their starting left tackle, and kind of the developmental process Green Bay's had with a lot of these day 3 guys.
Yeah, I am familiar. That was one thing that I really loved about Green Bay was how they like to develop players. That was a big thing for me when I visited.
And if I can just ask you too, the last 2 years with all the playing time, all the starts at left tackle, just where did you feel your game grew the most? And getting to this level now, what do you think will translate?
I think my pass protection has grown an immeasurable amount in honestly, just this last year. I mean, if you just watch the tape from 2023 to 2024, it's like a completely different player. And I think that's really what's going to translate so well. Just our O-line coach, Nick Cardwell, has done such a great job implementing an NFL-style system for all of our pass protections, and it just paid off, and I don't even know how to describe how much.
Any other questions for John? All right, John, that's all we have. I appreciate your time. Congratulations again, and we will see you in Green Bay soon.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you all.